Alright guys, Fuller coming to you with another video. Shout outs to the whole LDBC. So in this video, man, I kind of wanted to like meditate a little bit, let it sink in. You know, as a public service announcement, I'm not trying to use Nipsey Hussle's name for clout or subscribers. You know, if I really wanted to, I can post pictures with me with him. You know, in fact, I could make a picture with me with him on the cover of this video and show that that was my guy. But anyhow, this video is partly about him, and this video is kind of partly about, you know, the overall bigger picture on things. So some news did come out that, you know, even before Nipsey Hussle's killing, his shooting, even before that he was already under investigation by the authorities. And the reason why he was under investigation by authorities is there's a lot of surfaces to this reasons. Now, I'll give you the first practical reason why. The first practical reason why is the simple fact that, you know, Nipsey Hussle, he was a Crip, you know. That's just the bottom line. He's a Crip, you know. And, you know, him being a Crip doesn't necessarily mean that he's, how should I put it? It doesn't necessarily mean that he's like doing the activities associated with the Crip. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean he out on the street doing rah-rah stuff. It doesn't mean he looking for an enemy and going to an enemy territory trying to take his head off. It doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean a Crip, you know. In fact, I think Crip used to stand for Community Revolution and Progress. And if you really do the history on gangs were meant as a means of protection, you know, because of the simple fact that in the areas that, you know, people were moving into, you know, like the South Central areas and stuff like that, you know, most of the time they were minorities. And so, you know, because of the you know, the racial segregation, which is still occurring right now, they had to have ways to protect themselves. If they didn't, it was a wrap for them, you know. So this is why they form these things, you know. Anybody would do that, you know, if they're under attack. It's only common sense that you just defend yourself. You're not gonna like just accept not defending yourself, you know. That's just a reality, right? Now, the other reason why, and this is the reason why I really want to talk about, and I'm just going to connect it with my homeland, and, you know, what that means for us as a people, basically, you know, as black people. You know, I'm going to say this as a forewarning. We are all black, whether we be from the Caribbean, whether we be from continental Africa like I am, whether we be from a place that has a black population in Latin America, or whether we be from a place with a black population in the Arab world. We're all black. But culturally, we are different, you know. Tribe-wise, we are different, you know. But the Most High even said, you know, he made us into nations and tribes so we may know each other, you know. But unfortunately, you know, if you read the books, if you read the previous books of the revolutionaries, that divide and conquer has always been a tool to keep us from knowing each other. You know, they've always used that tool. Every single last time that tool has been used. Now, the bigger picture, this is the bigger picture. And I know this is going to sound really bad, but this is like, honestly, the big picture of the matter. The main reason why that Nipsey was under investigation by the authorities was due to the simple fact that the authorities did not want to have that place be under minority ownership. Most importantly, black minority ownership. The gang thing was kind of like a front due to the simple fact that, you know, if you're employing these gang members, then you're actually bringing change to the community. If you're employing them, you're actually showing them a different way. If you're employing them, you're keeping them out the system, which means that the less people there are in the system, the less money that the private powers that be, who like basically are profiting off the system, make, right? Now, the downside to all of this is that the second reason why he was under investigation was because of the G word. And what I mean by the G word, I mean gentrification. If you live in LA, and I pass Crenshaw and Slauson quite often, you know, I do business there. You know, I do a lot of business in Crenshaw and Slauson area, you know. In fact, my business is pretty much located over there. But anyhow, if you look at what's happening in Crenshaw and Slauson, you're seeing things that don't belong there, or that look kind of out of place. If you go down Crenshaw and Slauson, you see high-rises, you know, like high-rise apartments being built. You see these new apartments being built in an area that, like, that these apartments look out of place in, you know? And you have to ask yourself, okay, well, you know, out of all the places to build these apartments, why would they build it here? You know what I mean? So what's happening now is there was also a new hospital being built. I think the hospital is on Martin Luther King Boulevard. And even that looks out of place, you know. And then the other thing is that, you know, on Expedition, there's one train station on Expedition in Crenshaw. They're trying to add more train stations to Crenshaw now, you know. So from what I heard, you know, this is just what I heard, the authorities were actually pressuring the owners of that lot, of the Crenshaw Slauson lot, to actually kick them out, kick Nip Hussle and the businesses out of there. And you know, Nip Hussle was actually building another business. He was building a fish place, like a gourmet fish place, and he was also building a barbershop there too. But what happened is that, you know, the authorities were like, get them out of there, you know, get them out, kick them out, you know. And so what happened is that, you know, those owners of the lot were under pressure to kick them out. But the owner, knowing that, the integrity of like Black Sam and Nip Hussle and them paying the bills on time and stuff like that, instead of kicking them out, he opted to sell them that place. And so, they were able to close escrow, and the rest was history, And even Black Sam said he didn't know how it happened, how it was able to be done. But it got done. So, if you're an immigrant, especially if you're a Black immigrant, especially if you're a Black who was born, came up, born and raised in America, this is a sign that, we gotta really examine our situation and really see what steps can be taken for us to make constructive moves forward that will put us in a position where we have we leave no stones unturned, and we have everything needed to prevent things like this from happening. Because even the fact that the shooter lives in Long Beach, and they never really saw the shooter that often. They all of a sudden that shooter came around, and so they were surprised. They're like, wow, what is this nigga doing here? What's his purpose of being here? You know what I mean? So, with that being said, in my personal opinion, not trying to make any theories or anything, but I have a feeling that it was a lot of elements that led to Nip Hussle's death. And, some of those elements were higher up, definitely, most definitely. After this came out, I didn't want to think so, but I definitely think that, some elements had to do with the man, because you have to, some of the things are not making sense. And so what I want to do is I want to connect this to other revolutionaries, because at the end of the day, he was a radical entrepreneur revolutionary because of the things that he wanted to do and because of the blueprint he wanted to do. When you look at Thomas Sankara, the same thing. He was making changes after changes after changes. He was actually making changes, making concrete changes to the lot of his people. What did they do? The French, in collaboration with the CIA, had him offed. Mohammed Murtada in Nigeria, making concrete changes to a lot of his people. What happened is that the CIA, with a collaboration, the CIA had him plucked off. There was one time where his airport, the airport that they built, it was better than LAX. Another guy, in which, my dad actually had the privilege of serving under when my dad was in Senegal, when my dad left Mauritania to Senegal. Amilcar Cabral, concrete changes, health centers, or I should say health clinics, schools in the bushes, agricultural production. What did they have? What happened to him? And this one hurts the most, one of the most, because like Nip, he was trying to talk to the quote unquote enemy to try to reach mutual agreement and try to reach a solution. And they grinned in his face, but they really were plotting against him. This being the Portuguese. as the enemy. And the same thing with Nip Hussle. He was trying to collaborate with cops in order to find solutions to the problems. But they grinned in his face. They were shaking his hand, you know, with the right hand they were shaking his hand, and with the left hand they were stabbing him in the back. And so I say this to say that this line of work, you know, you may have to go out on your square, meaning that you may die as a martyr, you know. And I have to ask myself, do I want to do that? And the answer is, you know, if it is going to help the future generation, then, you know, my life, one insignificant life does not outweigh millions of potential significant lives, which could actually continue the change that one life tried to bring. And this is not just in LA. I'm saying this is all over the Caribbean, this is all over Africa. The gentrification of places with black populations is a worldwide epidemic. And it's being perpetuated by different people, you know. And sometimes it's even being perpetuated by our own people. So with that being said, those are just my thoughts of the matter. I'm not going to do too much talking. I'm of the opinion that activism, like real activism, actually happens on the ground level. Actually happens by doing things, making things happen. And, you know, by the grace and the mercy of the Most High, hopefully, and with some like minds as well, the resources are gathered, the theories are gathered, and action is taken to make our quality of life higher, our quality of life productive, and our quality of life peaceful as well. But right now, man, LA, the energy is really off. You know, the energy, like even driving through LA, it feels weird, man. Like it feels like the energy is really, really awkward energy, man. I swear to you. And I'm just noticing this, you know, I don't know, man. It's just a feeling I get. You know, even right now in San Fernando Valley, man, MS-13, they just off 7 people, man. It's like, really, you're out in the field. Like, and I'm going to be real with you. Like, I'm going to be completely funky with you. I leave my house not knowing if I'm going to return to my house, because at any given moment, a cop can off you. You know, I'm just being real. No matter how cooperative you get, a cop can off you. It's open season on us, you know, and that's just the reality. I mean, I can give you so many stories where I'm like, oh shit, like this cop really want to take my head off, you know. And there's a line that, there's a line that Nipsey said. You know, there's many lines he said. One of the lines, he said, you know, they wonder why we don't have faith in the system, because they look at us like a waste of existence, you know. And then there was another line he said where he said something like I think it was like 12 years for gang enhancement. The judge triple white and hates your blackness. Slam the gavel with a racist passion. Waiting for appeal, but your patience passing. You know, that's just what it is, man. And, you know, in Africa too, man, like, you'll be surprised at how many political prisoners there are. Even in my country, my original country before my family left. Even in my country, because of the messed up elections, because of the obviously rigged elections, which the United States said were actually fair and democratic elections, which is a damn lie. They're rounding up niggas, man, and imprisoning them indefinitely. You know, and that's just it. That's just what it is, man. I don't know what can be done, but you know, I'm definitely gonna look, study, and act towards a solution. Looking for like minds to do it with me. Leave your thoughts and leave your comments. Fuller signing out. Njada.